Because if you want to be in this business and you want to be successful in this business, you don't want to take stuff that you don't know what the source is.
Richard L. Green is my forensic musicologist. His advice has enlightened and protected me on countless projects over the last 30 years. He's also saved Disney, Warner Brothers, Fox, Universal Music Group, and the major record labels from potentially spending billions of dollars in legal claims. The following video segment is a masterclass in what you need to know about the business of creating music before it's too late.
So with AI, like right now, right, I could analyze the drum beat of the whole song and then get those rhythm patterns and then put my own sounds on there. Can someone own that?
Well, you've got a problem with AI. And that in a lot of countries outside the United States, something created by a machine and not by a human being is not entitled to any copyright protection at all. None.
How does someone know?
If it doesn't come out, no, but if somebody can say, no, that came out of an AI.
That's not copyrightable?
No.
What about if it's just a portion of my lyrics that I used AI to come up with?
If they can prove that, then you got nothing for that.
That's the technical way to read the
well, no, that's a non-copyrightable portion of what you have.
Oh, it's just non-copyrightable. So no one owns it.
That's right. Nobody can own it.
Is it public domain?
Not really. Well, because the AI, I don't think the AI is coming up with anything original. I think the AI is stealing from other people's stuff, and you just don't know where the AI is stealing it from. The AI isn't really thinking on its own. It's assembling things that it found that other people did.
That are copyrighted.
That are copyrightable, yes. It's like the way AI did translations. They've got, 14 translations of that line into English. Well, those were all written by somebody who was a skilled translator. They were all right, and it's the complaint of the translators, which I think would be a complaint of everybody else, really, because that's the mechanism that, at least one that I see, is that it's stolen from somewhere. You just don't know where it was taken from.
Do you see problems for AI companies and for the composers using AI to assist in the creation of their songs?
Absolutely. I wouldn't do it. First of all, if it can be ascribed to the AI, really creating it, in many countries there's no copyright attached to that. Means that you can't claim it. That's the other part, is that the AI itself may be assembling things that are copyrighted elements from other people in order to make the thing that you're getting might actually be copyrighted material, but you just don't know where it came from.
Could be a mashup too, right?
Yeah, right. It could be a mashup of stuff, and you don't know where they took it from. So you don't know what the source was.
So let's say I do it. Okay, I don't listen. I do it, and I release it, and it's a big hit, and you're saying I can't copyright it?
No, you can copyright. You can file a copyright, but it's just that you're not going to be able to protect the parts that were created by the AI. If the whole thing was done by the AI and not by you, there would be no copyright.
But who's going to jump in and say, we're not going to pay you? I mean, it's getting used, and people are getting the benefit on it.
Well, no, but if you told people in an interview somewhere, yeah, it was all AI, and that got out, then all of a sudden the societies in at least a half a dozen countries wouldn't pay a penny on your...
They wouldn't pay a penny, but what if I just decided to not say anything about it?
Well, I suppose you could get away with it. That's not the big risk. The big risk is the fact that the AI may have actually done the infringement itself, taking copyrighted material from somebody and you don't know who it is. And all of a sudden this guy comes out of the woodwork from Iceland and says, hey, you took my music. And it's just like his. And the AI had picked it up from his tracks that he'd put out there. And you don't know what it is. You don't know where it's coming. You don't know where it's coming from. You're exposing yourself completely because you don't know what the source is.
You don't know the source. That's the biggest problem.
Right. Well, the AI may be creating itself, or how creative do you think an AI is without, okay, let's go down a level. Let's go down a more basic level. How does music communicate emotion? That's the question. And I would say that music communicates emotion by the controlled use of tension and release, dissonance and resolution. And it's that controlled use. It could be harmonic tension, could be melodic tension, Certain notes of the scale are more active than others. They tend to want to move. So there could be melodic tension. There's rhythmic tension. There can be a tension built into a rhythmic line, being ahead and behind the beat. That's something that I'm aware of because I've worked in ragtime. How is an AI going to be able to figure out how to communicate emotion when it doesn't?
ASI,
No, but
artificial
it doesn't,
superintelligence.
but it
is so-
doesn't feel any emotion.
does it
It's
need,
going to have to get I'm thinking that it's going to have to get a model from somewhere.
well, my understanding is that ASI will be smarter than all of humankind combined.
In what way?
More knowledge, more ability to think and to predict future events, being able to put
But
together
it's only as good as
decision making.
it's only as good as the programming that went into it.
Not ASI. It's able to make decisions and learn from it's like it's learning just like we are. And so if it can know all those things and write that, that's what I'm just wondering.
Well, that's like saying you're going to take all of human knowledge and who's going to decide which is the right way to look at the world? Yeah, there's something filtering it.
Right, the user. I'm going to give it the
No, I'm not talking about the user. I'm talking about the person that wrote the program. There's going to be a filter somehow in there. There's going to be a filter.
So basically, you're saying you don't see it, that it's going.
I don't see that. I don't believe in the all-powerful, computerized, creative engine. I don't believe that's possible.
But it can be used then in math and science, but just not in music?
It can be used. Well, it's like relying on Wikipedia, okay? Everybody assembles all their knowledge into one place. But anybody's free to edit it. So somebody can go ahead and change the page to match their misinformation. And then if you're somebody that's watching the page and you have to keep going in there and correcting it back to what the real world is. But on the other hand, you go up to Wikipedia, maybe you find out about something that you didn't know about. And then you can incorporate that information. You can go look at the original and say, oh, that guy who made that edit on Wikipedia was correct. But there has to be some kind of a checking. And that requires a human being looking at it.
So that's how you see AI being used in music, is for a resource.
It could be a resource potentially, but certainly for science it can be a resource.
Because I know in medicine it could be like the equivalent of reading 1,000 medical journals that your doctor's not going to have time to read. So it can do a diagnostic and compare and contrast a lot of different things.
Yeah, being aware that, oh, wait a minute, this symptom plus that symptom plus this symptom equals this really obscure disease that nobody would probably have ever looked at. But somebody still need to go in there and run the test to make sure, is that really what's going on here? That's what I'd say. I would be very skeptical, but I do know that it's specifically excluded from copyright in a number of
and for purposes of our discussion, that's saying basically that you can't really monetize it.
Right. You can't monetize it. And then, we're talking about people, I'm talking about people anyway, who want to be in the business of music. I'm not talking about people that just want to go and play in their garage.
Right. And basically,
if you want to be in this business and you want to be successful in this business, you don't want to take stuff that you don't know what the source is.
you want to find your own voice so that you can make a living.
You have to find your own voice and speak with your voice instead of speaking with somebody else's voice.
And somebody else that might come and sue you.
Well, they could come and sue you. That's one of the consequences. But the other consequence is you're not being genuinely and authentically you.
I know.
It's like, Anthony, you're a composer. I can never be as good a composer at being Anthony Marinelli as you are, because you've got your own voice as an artist. I can never be that good at what you do for your own voice, ever. That goes to the bit, like who's better or whatever. Well, maybe this guy or that guy resonates with you more, but it's not. If the person has their own voice,
Right.
There's no, it's like an apple and an orange. I can never be, I can never be Anthony.
And that's something that you can like essentially own. And I don't just mean that in a monetary way. It's something that you can add to your soul. And it's
Right,
something that
you own it as part of who you are.
yeah, and it's something that it helps you attract other relationships and
Yeah.
creative relationships and other things too, like because you have something to say
Right,
that isn't
right, right.
the
Well,
way
and-
somebody else says it, right?
And going to the background of the lyrics, the expression of complex emotions using simple language. I know people who are just masters at that. I'm a music guy, not really a lyricist. I've written poetry, but I'm not really a lyricist. But I can recognize people who are really good at it. And it doesn't take very many words, and all of a sudden, you've got this whole picture. You've got this whole emotional picture, and it's a complex emotional picture. It's not a simple. If you're trying to write music to do a musical setting of it, those words, you're going to have to think about that. You're going to have to think about that what you're doing is going to fit with those words. It's going to emphasize the words in that need to be emphasized. You don't want to make the big triumphant point in your melody be the word the. You don't. But doing a setting of something like that, you don't get there.
All right, well, we'll see. So it's still going to be about two humans coming
yeah,
together.
Right. It's two.
A lyricist
if you have a lyricist and a composer coming together, Lerner and Lowe or whoever it is.
And then the musicians coming together to play it is still not going to be like replaceable.
Well, that's right. Well, that's the miracle of everybody in the band listening to one another, and then playing off of everybody's playing off what everybody else is doing. And there's this wall of sound coming off the stage that, whether you say it's the best thing since sliced bread, but everybody's doing what they intended to do. It's working. Everything is what you intended to do. You've mastered the craft to that level where you can do what you intend. And, but it's a miracle to have 5 or 6 musicians on stage play together at that level.